Today I've planned to take you through. In my last session, I talked a little bit about quantitative data, for example, age, how to group that, and how to categorize that data in a way that you can be able to report it in a categorical manner. Today, I would want to talk about uh, some functions to handle qualitative data. For example, names, if you have names in two different columns, how can you combine them into one column? I'll talk a little bit about data validation as part of data cleaning. And as well, I'll also talk about how to say put your names in capitalized format or sentence case or small case that is lowercase, proper case, and sentence case. But of course, names we put them in proper case. I'll talk a little bit about that one. Or if you want to put them in uppercase as well, you know how to do that. So these are also very important functions in data cleaning, and as well, I will introduce a few. I'll also share a few tips and tricks there. So if you have any questions as I proceed, please go ahead and feel free to share it on the chat so that I can be able to respond to it. So let me proceed. I have 40 minutes to do this. So yeah, welcome aboard. So let me share my screen and then we can proceed. Show you the first step, always select the data. Go to insert, put it in table format, and ensure that says my table has headers so that now you select your data. Now, for today, what I wanted to do is, for example, now you have this data, first name and second name, and you want to introduce another column where you are saying I want the full name, the full name. That is column header, full name. That means you want the first name and the second name to be in the same column. And you had this. Ideally, maybe if you don't know the formula, you might have to start typing employer A unknown, employer B unknown. No, but you see, with the formulas, you just use is equals. So usually you just click the first cell, you use AND formula, you put space, right? Another AND formula, the AND sign, and then the last formula. So this way, you're able to combine two columns together by putting space in between. In between here, you can see there's a space. And how you put space in Excel, of course, it's the, what is it called? Apostrophes, I think so. And then, of course, space in between them. So this is a simple way of combining cells, two columns so that you can be able now to see employer E and unknown in the same column. So this way is a very simple way of doing this. And now if I wanted to say I want this to be capital, so I will just introduce upper, which is the Excel formula or Excel command for making uppercase. So if I do that and just include is equals upper with that combined, then all the names will become uppercase. For example, this is what you want to achieve, for example. So use uppercase, but this case is proper case. So proper case is where the first letter is capitalized and then the other letters are small letters. Sentence case, sometimes maybe you have sentences and they're not very clean. You would want to have them cleaned. So you put in sentence case. It's simply, for example, my sentence was in capital. I can probably write something simple here. My name is Jafet. For example, you have this data that comes in form of text, and it was put. It's a sentence. This is a sentence, right? With a full stop at the end. My name is Jafet. It's a sentence. Now I want to put this sentence into proper sentence case. Then I'll just say is equals. Okay, so if I say proper, then it will put everything in capital. Okay, proper is equals no, not proper, but is equals upper or lower. So proper, we'll put it in sentence case. So is equals proper and the text. You click on the text. So you can see here now it says my name is Jafet. Okay, proper actually puts the first letter into capital. So it capitalizes for each word, it capitalizes the first letter. And then these other codes, upper is equals upper. Upper does is equals that, makes it all capital. Okay, I would have actually selected the second one that has already been. It makes all capital, and then lower simply makes everything, into lowercase. So this is just if you have a lot of text and you want to do this, you can always use these formulas. For example, some of these sentences usually have like blank spaces that need to be removed. For example, I can give an example. My and then space name is Japheth. So this is a sentence that has a lot of space in between here. So I can use clean to kind of, yeah, can use clean, then I can use trim also to try and remove spaces in between. So trim is the right one to remove. You can see here clean kind of remove spaces after. Okay, maybe I can give an example. If there was space in this sentence before M, okay, so maybe there was some space then before M. So yes, trim will remove both spaces in between or before and all that. So I think the formula trim helps you kind of remove any additional extra spaces in sentences, and that your sentences can be a little bit cleaned, and then of course you can always put this into proper case if that is the case, proper. Yeah, proper case, so that now but usually you can put these ones together. You can put is equal stream, then proper together. Yeah, so that you don't have to be putting so many columns for this. So just is equal stream, then proper. It solves the situation once and for all. So this is another thing that I wanted to share with you in terms of handling sentences. Now, there's another part. For example, here you have a sentence like this, and I want to show an example. Like, for example, this, my name is Jafet. Maybe this is not a very good example, but now, yes, this one now. Okay, let me insert. Now we have names that are together like this, and now you want to break these ones now down. I'll put it here so that I can demonstrate. You want to break these names down into two. Remember, there are two names, full names, first name and second name, and now you want to extract these into two columns. So usually what I usually use is this is the title of that. Okay, Control B. This is the title of that, and these are the names: Empire, MPB, MP, Employer C, Employer D, like that. Now you want to break this down. Usually what I do is this column, I will select it, ensure that we have two spaces in front, two columns that are empty in front of this. So for example, in this case, if I was handling it from up here, I would insert, let me demonstrate in a practical manner. I would insert two columns. Okay, I would insert two columns. The first column would be first name. In fact, the first column would be, I will show you what I'm going to do. First name, first name, first name, first name. Okay, the next column would be, yeah, it will be first name two, and then last name two, last name. So yeah, the second column, I total it, or I put the the header there, last name. Okay, so ideally now you want, they're saying two because in table format you cannot have the same header, twice. So that's why I already had first name, but this is just demonstrate. Now, remember this is in formula, right? It has formulas inside. Now, for me, once I do this, I usually like to remove the formulas. So I'll select the whole column, copy on it, with Control C. Then without removing anything, I use Control Alt V, Control Alt V. it brings the paste special, and then I choose values. So that way, I just remove the formulas. So the formulas are no longer there, yeah, by just using that control copy and control alt V and then pasting special as values. Then now I know I have left two columns. Now I'll come here and say I want to break down this data, this data set. So I'll come to, okay, I'll come to, sorry, let me move this. Yes, I'll come to insert. I know I'll come to data, and then there's this section. I'm talking about this up here. There's formulas, there's data, there's review, there's all that. I've already removed this. Now it's just values. Then I'll select the whole column, then come to data up here. Then this text column here, text column, text column. Now remember, I know how my data is organized. There's just two names, each first name and last name. No, now what I can do is I can use the delimited fashion where I go next. I know they're separated by space. There's a space in between, so I can just click space. And when you click space, a line appears here to show you that it's breaking this column into two columns. Now, and then I go to next. So remember back here, I've said that treat consecutive delimiters as one. Then I'm saying here that space is the whatever that separates them, and then there's a tab. I'm saying, put them in different tabs, right? So it will be the first part will go to the next column, then the last part will go to the last column. Let's finish, and then you see next, and then I will say now finish. So, oh yeah, I've said the way I put it is like the first column remains. So yeah, that's the case. So first name, so this should be last name. Sorry, I think yeah, this should be last name. Two. So now I've broken down whatever was there into two parts now again. Back to Empower one, and now you see they're already in this case. So if you wanted to take them back to the right case, you can always now use the proper formula to do the case part to have the same proper case or uppercase or lowercase. Yeah. So that's how to handle some of these issues might have with qualitative data. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about data validation, and I wanted to use this column of status. Remember, status is very clear. It's either you are active, or you've resigned, or you're on leave. Now, if, for example, I wanted to ensure that if I'm doing data entry now, I talked about data cleaning as a process that starts from when you're designing your tools, when you're designing your data entry templates, and for example, you have hard copies and you want to enter data and don't want to make mistakes. So you validate cells. And I will give an example here by just inserting another cell next to it. And we'll do data entry for this. And this, I'll call it status. This is just demonstrate. So I'm hoping you're following. So of course it says status too. Now, status is either active, on leave, or yeah. So now you click here, you go to data, and then you go to this icon here, not remove data validation, but data validation. You click on it, and then you will see the settings and the criteria. So there are several criteria for data validation. Any value, it means the cell will accept anything you put there. Whole number, it simply says if you put whole number, for example, and then you can choose a whole number either equal to, not equal to, between a certain value and a certain value. I think we'll do that one later. But for now, let us look at list. So remember, these are three, and this is what I'll show you. So first of all, before you even go to there, you will come and ensure that you understand how your status is organized. So I can always copy this, put it, okay, just put it in a different sheet or Excel, paste special, and then I will go to data, and then I will remove duplicates. When you remove duplicates, and this is column E only for the selected, so I say selected, then I say my column has a header, which, that's why it has confirmed status is the header. Then I'll say remove duplicates. This way, it only show me the three unique variables that are supposed to be part of that column. So now I will come here and say I want to validate this column so that it can only accept active, on leave, and resigned. So I come here, click on the first cell. Now this is the first cell on that column, and then go to data. Then I will do click on data validation. So here I will choose list. I will choose list because I want to list those items. And then I will write them active, comma, space, on leave, comma, space, and then resigned, resigned. So when I do this, and then I will say, okay. So immediately you see this column will now have a drop down with only the 3. Now remember, it's just one cell. Now I need to copy this validation, copy, and then select all the other columns that I'm supposed, all the other cells that I'm supposed to validate, and then control, I said select, then there's control alt V, which I showed you, or paste special. You can always also right click just to show you. You can also select the columns, then right click, no, sorry, select the columns, then right click, and then go to paste special, click on that arrow, then say click down here, there's paste special. The shortcut is Control Alt V, but what you want to see is this cell, no, this okay, this window that has all these. Now what you want to paste there is what is called validation. So you click on validation and then say okay. So once you do that, then all these other cells after that become validated in such a way that they can only accept these values. So for example, let me write something that is not part of the 3. Maybe write anything, maybe yes. Yeah, write yes. And press enter. It will tell me here, this value does not match the data validation restrictions defined in the cell. So this helps you data entry. You cannot put something that was not expected. If it's a column that you only want to accept yes and no, you validate that column for yes and no only. Now, if I put active, it will work. Okay, sorry. So if I click here, I don't even have to put active. I can just click and select active, or I can write the word active. If I write it properly, it will work. If I add something else, active with some 2 spaces, it will still work because it's validated for the word active. So long as you write the word active, then it works. If it's resigned, it will work. If I write something like mom, it will not work. So it will tell you the value does not match. Now, if you want to validate, for example, I'm adding a column here of age. And I talked about age the other day. We know that age is supposed to be, for example, if somebody is employed and working, you expect that the age should be between 18 and 60. This is the age of, working age. Sometimes it's from 15, but, legally in Kenya, if somebody is actively working, for example, these ones are employees, then they should be between the age of 18 and 30. Now, I can validate this cell to only accept values, whole numbers, values between. So I'll just go to data validation again, and then click on that where I say allow, click on that, select whole number, and then say between. There's so many other options, greater than, equal to, and all that. But for me, I want between certain value. I put that between, and then I say it's supposed to be between 18 and 60. Anyone who says they are working and they're outside this age range, it will give you a validation error. For example, if you put 15 here, it will tell you no, this value does not match the validation. It has to be at least somebody who is 18 and up to. If you put 61, it will not work. No, why is it working? Oh, I did not copy the validation. So I need to copy the validation and ensure that it also appears by paste special, that I then see the validation there so that it also appears in these other cells. If you say 9 years, it will tell you no. If you say 61 now, it will tell you no. Yeah. Even here, I think if you say 61, it should reject. It's only that I'd put it there. That's why it's giving me this error here, telling me there's a valid data validation error that I need to be aware of. And you see, now with this, it does not appear, sir. Yeah, this is you'll see these errors if you make the validation. So if I put 60, then it works. So that's how to also validate numbers. So it's a way to ensure that you are when you're doing data entry or creating your data entry templates. These are some of the tips for data validation that you can put in there to ensure that your data validation template works properly, and you don't have a lot of, yeah. So the other data validations, you can go and try them at your own time. You can also always input a message. Okay, I can give an example. For example, this one, I want to go back to data validation. See the validation, it's there. Then input a message, say, and I can call it a validation error, val error, whatever that is, val error. That's the title of the message. And say, tell, for example, if data entry clerks that are working for me, I'll tell them age of employee in Kenya is 18 to 60 years, just to remind them that, oh, maybe you put the wrong thing. So if I put it this way and I put, that's the val error. If I put something like 17, it will tell me, oh, okay. If I put, let me copy that validation, put it there. Okay, validation. Then yeah, the validation error is always there. So if I click on that cell, you'll see the validation error. So it kind of reminds you, why are you validating this cell? It's because it's supposed to be, yeah. But though it will tell you this, but at least the validation error reminds the client clerk that this is why there's that validation, to ensure that the right age is put in there. So if you put 99, it will tell you no. But then there's a validation error to remind the data entry clerk that, yeah, this is why we are doing validation like this. Okay, so this will help you with data entry to ensure that you minimize errors, and this helps you reduce your work when it comes to now data cleaning. Yeah, at some time. So I wanted to talk about some of these things that you already do. Remember, this is just whole number, but you see it's salary. You can always put this in another way is yes. So home, yeah. So there's this part where you define you format your cells. It's also very important to also remember that formatting cells really helps with data entry to ensure that the right values are put. For example, now if that cell is specifically it's money, so I can say, the money that the entry that is being made there is supposed to be currency, and the currency is supposed to be Kenya shillings. And I can choose the format that I want. I can, yes, Kenya shillings, decimal points. If I want decimal points, I can put decimal points. Usually, it's good to have decimal points with money, and this is good for finance people. And I can choose the format. So this format is fine with me, and I'll just say okay. So the formats for this cell will change into, it's not just a whole number, but it's, and see, you can still do your total without necessarily, you can still sum the column from there to the end there, and get the total amount of money you're paying these people every month without necessarily, yeah, worrying about yeah. So it gives you that. You can also validate date, and there are different formats. So here you not very, but you can format the date as well. This is also very useful when you're cleaning your data and ensuring that your data has the right values in there. If the columns have the right values, you click on that, you select, you go to home. It's the same process, and for that you specifically want a date format. So there are different date formats. Personally, I prefer this one. I don't know why I prefer this one. You can also, if you want to see the days of the week, for example, if it's birthdays or something and you want to see the days of the week, you can choose the type of calendar. Depends with, but I think this one gives us you a Gregorian location, of course, English in Kenya. So I prefer, like for example, I prefer this one. So I'll just come and say okay. So it will give me that format that I like. So these are ways of ensuring that your data entry template has enough criteria in there to manage to manage your data. So this is what I wanted to show us today for this session.